I mean, obviously, as we mentioned before, the expectation is DPS if you're from T1W, whereas LGE.Huya likely to come out swinging with the Sombra, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to get.
Very interesting. Yes, LGE.Huya love to run this triple DPS. Sometimes they go with the Sombra, sometimes they go with the Soldier, but for a more horizontal or a more of flatter map like this, HyBe is going to opt for the Sombra, sometimes for the Soldier on Oasis and stuff like that. So how is LGE.Huya going to deal with, or sorry, the T1W DPS comp, how is LGE.Huya going to deal with that?
Well, LGE.Huya typically like to play the Pharah in this particular map, but it seems like they've learned their lesson. They want to instead take Mercy out of the sky to start things off.
Great, but you still have some healing from Huya that you have to deal with, but now map control in favor of LGE. They're on the point. Haker is going to translocate out, but Piggy is anti, still kept in mech as T1W. Still finding a moment to enter the point. It's very difficult as a Sombra, as a Pharah to get in there, but it's going to be up to Michia to really lead the way along with Silver 3 to displace these members from LGE. And there's a barrage right on top. Still somehow survives through that.
Well, T1W, it looks like they should be able to clean this one up, and they are still building out ults, but there's LGE.Huya actually investing the Transcendence. They seem like they think they can actually out-sustain T1W now that they know the barrage is out.
They were already down by 2 and they used the Transcendence, so you want to hold on to this barrier, but finally the flip goes through from T1W. Holding on to their ultimates, EMP is going to what you're going to be looking at here from HyBe.
This is the worry. I mean, this is what we've seen LGE do in the past, which is overcommit ultimates on dead fights. And if they do that sort of thing, they could fall behind here. But look at this. Molly already back up at 54% towards his next Transcendence. He literally just used it in that last fight. So looks like he will be able to generate that rather quickly. Not going to hurt them all too much. But, you know, in these situations, in a final scenario here, playing against these DPS comps, you need the support exactly when you need it, and not a moment later, not a moment sooner.
And speaking of lack of support, T1W not running a Zenyatta, not running a Lucio. You don't have these support-saving ultimates, especially for an EMP like this that drops Illusion. Just bring out the Valkyrie up in the sky, stays nice and safe. T1W, though, starting to fall apart. Their only tank is down. Both EMPs traded out as control back in favor of LGE. T1W going for some resurrects, but now the rest are in trouble. Balanron with the Pharah barrage on the point. Always likes to receive those nanos from Huya, but it seems that LGE have found an opportunity to crush the defenses of T1W and also keep control of the point.
Have to appreciate the EMP efficiency behind Haker. I mean, LGE.Huya are so good at clutching out fight wins when those EMPs come out, even if they have to contest against HyBe, who is really a massive flex player for T1W, coming in playing the Sombra for this one. But as you mentioned before, we've seen him on tons of different heroes in the past.
Well, T1W are just exhausted out of ultimates, but LGE missing Haker. A player talked about to be one of the best, not only Sombras like you guys have been talking about in the analyst desk, but really a carry factor for LGE. They're going to need them, especially to keep the point, as T1W finding a moment of entry. Boop kill earlier on as Micha repositions himself with the rest of his team and now wants to join the rest of the fight. As T1W looking to contest this, but without their main healer of a Mercy, it's going to be a struggle. Really relying on Huya to keep not only Milanron alive, but the rest. But you can see T1W under pressure. This is not a great opportunity for them to engage.
Yeah, they definitely need a regroup here, but they're still diving in. They just can't even take down Molly behind the Transcendence at all.
Oh, Milanron, oh, he barraged, but got EMP'd there from HyBe. Now T1W move themselves towards the point. Silver 3 would love to drop those mines. He's hacked for the moment. Rolling on to the point, it's LGE who are not giving this one up, almost stalling this 85% plus. It's getting down to the final chance for T1W to flip this one.
I think LGE.Huya is actually going to be crumbling here. It seems like T1W should be able to overpower them, but we have seen, you know, in the past, China just doesn't like letting fights go at all. But this time they will be forced to, as T1W comes out ahead and they get that flip. But not a lot of options to hold on to this point with, whereas LGE can kind of force the push forward, as they do have both of their support ults. They can really just play aggressively here, go for a pick instantly, maybe even jump down onto Silver 3 here, who might be a little susceptible if especially gets hacked by Haker.
He's so vulnerable to these Sombra hacks. You're exactly right. And even Illusion is often the first to fall for T1W. A lot of healing gone in, and Ana having to support so many DPS and Silver 3 who demand so much resources. But it's 99% to LGE. They only need to win one fight. It's a Transcendence and a Barrier, both used simultaneously for LGE, along with a Primal from JMac. Now, where are the kills being converted here? LGE only need to flip this once, and there are the kills coming in from JMac, leading the way. Haker farming another EMP. They won't even need it because they're flipping the point, and T1W need to get back quick.
I don't even think that they can do it now as LGE. They do take the first round, but that could have looked a little bit cleaner for LGE, but I'm sure that they're totally comfortable with at least taking the victory and moving into a second round.
Close match though so far, 100 to 88, yeah. And we know this whole triple DPS business from T1W is something they've run. They love to run on control. They love that type of chaos, but they are not thriving in it right now because you have Haker shutting down the playmaker for your team, being Silver 3 on this Hammond, and you had a Milanron kind of shining here and there on Lafara, but it's not being as cohesive as you need your triple DPS to be.
And the last time we actually saw T1W face off against LGE.Huya, which again was during the next qualifiers, they played this map first as well. Started on Garden, went right to Control Center. It's exactly the same way, but something different here at T1W. They are not playing the May Goats composition that they came out with on Control Center the last time. They actually won 100 to 29 when they actually did pull that out. This time around, they're just going for the standard 3-3 approach.
Yeah, LGE, though, sticking to what they know best with the Sombra Goats, and this is important. You do give up the Diva, you give up the self-destruct, the Matrix, the damage mitigation, but you create these win conditions of the EMP, and it's up to him to see if he can stay behind T1W and see if he can take down that shield of Silver 3. Again, a lot rests on the shoulders of Haker as a very high-energy Michia starts to cut through the forces of LGE, and still no one has claimed the point yet.
Oh, T1W, they got the pick, but the hacks are still coming through, and they're not healthy. Silver's gonna fall.
Oh, Silver getting way too aggressive, getting one kill now. This is really not favoring T1W, especially after that EMP from Haker. This forces T1W back, but they're still at the doorway, not going for the full reset. Silver 3 is back, but Piggy hits him with a grab. Kind of not really closing that distance. He's high energy, waits for the Transcendence of Molly to sustain him. LGE playing so safe, but they're not getting any benefit from this. No one has claimed the point. No one is benefiting from this fight up until now. T1W will stand tall and take the first capture.
Not only that, but T1W still have the availability of Michia's Graviton Surge. They could pull that out. Piggy was, very quick to build up after he did throw his out in the last fight, and they will have EMP rather shortly, but T1W, I think if they want to win this next fight, they have to be quick about it. They have to force it and drop the grab early.
JMax looking for a shatter. He's swinging away, but it's actually Michia's grab that comes out first. LG is sustained with a barrier for the moment as they try and reposition themselves, but you can see JMax tried to come from downtown with a shatter. Catches Silver 3, the forces of T1W starting to fall, at least in their front line. And Piggy is not done yet. He even throws a grab, and T1W still use the barrier and Transcendence. T1W want to win this fight so bad. They want to keep the point so bad, and LGE have pushed them off. T1W have used 5 ultimates and have not won the fight.
Look at that. I mean, all of those resources allocated to a fight just to try to sustain and keep the score going up a little bit longer. Now LGE really in a good position. I mean, T1W is going to come back into this fight quickly, but they're going to be met by Transcendence as well as an EMP, and it might only take the EMP.
There's the EMP from Haker, catches everyone, and T1W have exhausted everything. They could have survived this if they kept their support ultimates that they didn't have to use in that last fight. Now, an easy flip from LGE, all they needed was 1, and for the next sustain, they have the grab, Heurix.
They have the grab, they have the backup of the Transcendence, nothing to answer with if you're T1W. This just looks so good for LGE.Huya, who are now evening the score line at the moment here. And it's just a matter of time before Haker takes full control over this game.
So looking for the setup of the grab. You can see they're on server side, making it a little bit more difficult. And now where is Hybe hiding? He has the potential to take away this grab from Piggy if he's not careful. Silver 3 will be dancing left and right. Maybe a shatter opportunity could open up, but T1W losing his support. Hybe is hacked, and Silver 3 is first to fall again for T1W. He is constantly the main tank under pressure, and you'll never see JMax sweat like that.
And that was a neutral fight. LGE.Huya didn't use anything. They got that first pick onto Huya, and they were just like, okay, let's just go ahead and just run them over. And they didn't utilize anything. Now this could be last fight territory here, and LGE.Huya still have that combo that they've built before.
It's constantly, you're seeing vanilla hacks from Heurix on several members of T1W. They need to fight off and keep some attention left over for Heurix. But heading into this fight, T1W big advantage here, setting up the grab, and there it is thrown right away. Self-destruct not ready, but Transcendence being used from both sides. No kills going down yet. Point in control of LGE. They need to win this fight to take the first map, first to 4. This matters so much in the grand finals. Money on the line and honor. T1W not giving this one up. And they cannot self-destruct, shatter. They have the options. And finally, they ward off LGE, who have used so much, again, to keep this.
Oh, now T1W have to stave off LGE.Huya for another 50 seconds here if they want to be able to win this one. So about 2 fights left to go for them. Although now things have kind of flopped into their favor a little bit, at least for this next fight here, as LGE.Huya, as you said, they did expend a lot, and the only thing that they have is going to be a 1-for-1 trade with sound barriers, and that's just, I don't think that's enough for this next fight.
Well, Silver 3 just has to play closer. You try and funnel them into this shatter, but they have to be careful of the hacks from Heurix. They're keeping their eye on the white server side. Self-destruct from Hy-Vee could be catching someone. And look at this, it actually forces out Langza's barrier. It's not something you would typically see so early in a fight, and especially not taking advantage of having that shield advantage. Now moving forward, LGE don't have much and now accept a grab, and you want to be careful with this one. Michia is being close to his. It's now last fight territory, and Picky threw out the grab. Nothing really gets converted from that due to the Transcendence from Huya. Illusion keeps his barrier in the bank. Who will be most economical with these last ultimates that can define this fight? EMP from Heurix looking to set it up, but it's Micha who tries to strike first with the Graviton as ultimates traded from both sides. Everyone from T1W is hacked. Illusion managed to get the barrier off, and that is the difference that matters. The ultimates that matter for T1W, who will take this round and send us into a final round of Lijiang Tower.
Really just staying composed there, T1W with their support ults in particular. Just kind of outclassing LGE in that department. As soon as that EMP came out, I mean, that was the last draw that they had for LGE.Huya there. The only thing left up their sleeves, and instantly countered out by dropping in the sound barrier. Illusion, you know, throughout the playoffs has been very solid with his beat timings. We've seen it in the quarters as well as the semis, and I think he's going to try to continue that performance level here today. And of course, T1W, if they want a repeat performance, if they want to get another Contenders final win back to back, I mean, obviously someone like Illusion has to be playing flawlessly, and so far he's been very, very solid.
I feel like it's coming down to who is going to be smarter with their ults. We saw T1W just being slightly smarter there with their support ults at the end, out-sustaining LGE now here on Night Market. This difference is going to matter again. T1W had the middle map control, already boxing LGE back. But because Michia got low, and even Silver 3 almost got picked early, LGE will be pushing into this point soon.
We're going to see LGE just pushing back T1W. They had control early, but they were forced off of the point, and now this is not a good position to be in. Langza could just go for boops here.
Yeah, T1W just gave up all that space, and that cap actually going through in front of the eyes. LGE have it now and taking advantage. T1W going to flip this one in front of their eyes. Neither team want to control the point.
How is T1W able to just charge through LGE? I mean, they didn't push into, they pushed through LGE. It took JMac down there, but now T1W hanging on to it. They're going to have to be mindful of Heurix in the back line, so they're going to have to fall back here, turn their backs to LGE.Huya as they're going to push in. They already claimed the silver kill.
Silver 3 was trying to push into the point from the attention taken away, but Illusion just got picked from Heurix. So that's already 2 or 3 down from T1W. The fight hasn't even begun yet. At least they're going to throw bodies on the point. They stall it to 30%. And now LGE, they have so many ultimates to now defend this.
Yeah, so far this final has been pure chaos from both sides, just forcing their opposition off their game as much as they possibly can. And it becomes so hard to maintain your own level, you know, your tempo, the control over the game. LGE.Huya are so good when they have that, but T1W definitely pushing them off a little bit. Now EMP at the ready, as well as the Graviton Surge.
Well, they actually opt for the EMP first. Usually you'll see teams go for the grab, and hey, let's throw in the shatter on top of that. Great setup combo from LGE. T1W not out of this one yet. I mean, sometimes they reset when they lose Silver 3, sometimes they don't, but they're actually playing this one smart this time, and they do not want to take a fight without Silver 3.
Yeah, you like to see that EMP shatter combo there, you know, especially if you can get set up with it. You have the confirmation, J-Mac can just throw that shatter down. That's a free fight win, especially when they don't have support ults. Now you know that they still don't have those. Drop the grab, it should be a free fight.
Yeah, Pichette throws the grab, and Piggy counters with his own. Ron and the rest. Piggy's so high energy is melting away the faces of T1W. LGE holding on to this point, 70%, and this is a brutal stagger.
Yeah, this is going to take so much more time now. T1W, I mean, they already really only had one shot left, but now they really only have one shot left, and it's going to be a desperate attempt just to get onto the point to try to contest it, and that's going to force them to play with a really bad position as they come into this fight. That's going to give a massive advantage to LGE.Huya, who still have the EMP coming back up. They have the shatter to combo with it, as well as the sound barrier from Langza.
Yeah, your only chance is shatter self-destruct, but they're walking into an EMP. They don't have support ultimates. This is gonna hurt, unless Huya can just be a god and build us up in about a second. Now 99% overtime dwindling away. T1W need to step on this, but it's so hard to break through these two tiny doorways. Silver 3 tries to fake out J-Mac, but he doesn't budge. He doesn't flinch. He keeps it up. EMP from Haker wounds T1W. Even gonna throw in the shatter just for confidence. LGE holding on to this point. T1W falling apart at the seams. And your first map of this grand final will go to LGE.
They're going to be able to get some redemption, at least for now, from Lijiang Tower. We mentioned before how the last time these teams faced off, it was Lijiang Tower. It was the exact same order as well. We talked about how it was guarded control center. And honestly, T1W looked pretty good in that matchup, pretty solid. However, this time around, it seems like LGE.Huya are a little bit more prepared, and their execution is certainly a lot better this time.
And the format of this being the loser of the map that just happened. So being T1W, they get to pick the next map going into hybrid. It is first of four in this grand finals. First place claims $50,000. Second place, $13,200. So not only is there money on the line, you have the potential to take the crown away from T1W, the past season champions. So much on the line, and LGE having a perfect start. We're gonna throw it to a quick break. We'll see you guys for map. LGE strike first blood in our grand finals between past season champions of T1W and LGE. Let's see if they can make it all the way to 4. It is first to 4, so we got a long road ahead of us, Heurix.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far from what we've seen, I mean, there has been no breaks on the LGE.Huya Sombra train, right? I mean, so far it's
Right?
been stampeding down the tracks, and nothing has been able to really get in the way of Haker's level of skill on that character. I mean, Sombra has worked out time and time again. The only differences that we've seen from LGE.Huya has just occasionally been Kami coming out of Brig Jail to play some DPS, but that hasn't even been necessary for them so far after one map.
But the amount, I'm kind of interested. I wish we had some statistics to see how many enemies Haker hacked. It felt like every time that stuff was on cooldown, there was someone from T1W was hacked. Whether it was Milanron on the Brig, Silver 3, especially High B, has been a big focus of Haker.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, he's also getting some picks. Something that LaFon was talking about before we actually got into this matchup was, you know, that first kill in team fights, how important that can be, and how LGE.Huya so far has kind of struggled, at least versus BLG. They were struggling a little bit to be able to come out on top. They were pretty far behind getting those first picks, but this time around, it seems like definitely behind Haker. We've seen him getting some first kills onto Huya, but we've also seen Silver going down occasionally. So definitely seems like LGE.Huya in their pre-fight phases have really kind of cleaned things up and don't necessarily always have to rely on having that 6v6 with Haker in the fight to be able to find those opportunities, because again, when Haker's not fully engaged, that's technically a 5v6 while he's repositioning.
Well, speaking of the long journey we have ahead of us, we will be going into hybrid as our second map, and specifically chosen by T1W is Kings Row, where T1W are undefeated in hybrid, so of course Kings Row as well. But not only this, in the semifinal, they did take Kings Row against LGD, while as LGE.Huya, well, when they did go to Kings Row in their semifinal, they tied.
Yeah, and that's actually crazy that they were tied in that matchup versus BLG. Obviously, BLG kind of downloaded a little bit of what LGE.Huya wanted to do there, playing the Sombra. Just, I mean, the idea here, we've seen this from other regions as well in Contenders level play, is that teams want to go to King's Row so that they can play really, really aggressive type compositions. And that's something that has caused LGE.Huya to falter quite a bit, is, you know, a couple of little hiccups that they've had have been because of the fact that teams have been playing high tempo, really aggressive styles, whether it be with DPS style compositions, which T1W is probably the best at in the region, or the really aggressive 3-3 style, which T1W is certainly capable of as well.
But I think what I want to see different from these teams as we move forward is T1W just protect themselves a little bit better against Haker. So not only to prevent these vanilla hacks, like actually send Hybe, or even just kind of do a little paranoia spray around the map, just see if they can discover Haker. And not only that, but to hide their supports and keep these support ultimates for something other than a graph. Sometimes you have to protect yourself from an EMP, which can be just as devastating, if not more, than a graph.
Yeah, so T1W, when they go for these 3-3s, like we've seen them actually so far, predominantly going for, where, you know, typically we would have expected a little bit more DPS play out, even, you know, outside of Gardens maybe, but with Hybe playing that diva, that's a big advantage in some of these fights. However, because of the fact that Haker is just so good, whether it be getting a little bit of oppression onto the backline, particularly Wyatt on the Zenyatta, or hacking out Silver or Hybe, that's been exposing T1W time and time again, and they're going to try to continue to do that. But here's something a little bit different from T1W. They're bringing in the Hanzo with Hybe.
This is what we saw actually in the quarterfinals of Korea, using Hanzo to force a Sombra to go Diva, because without that Diva, there's just no damage mitigation against the Hanzo. So much more damage will go into the shield of JMac, and soon they will crumble. As you can already see, Hybe is going ham.
Yeah, and he can use that combo as well alongside Micha, but obviously you're going to get a lot more Dragon Strikes than you are going to be getting grabs. And in the meantime, Haker still finding value, so they're not going to be able to find too much yet.
How does Haker just get in your backline and kill two of your supports? That is just insane. That just can't happen. You need to give more attention to Haker. He's talked about this much for a reason.
So now T1W coming back in this fight. I mean, they already do have 69.9% captured here. So 2 ticks acquired for T1W off that last fight. But LGE.Huya, they staved them off this first push. And now they've built up some ultimates. And now they're just going to try to match as best they can. Dragon Strike going to be at the ready for Hybe. But without a combo, without the lockdown, and with Transcendence up for Molly, I'm not sure how lethal this ultimate's going to be.
It could be used to zone them towards the left side, and hey, Haker's just gonna kill him, so it doesn't actually matter. Haker is so confident. No one is paying attention to him, and because he's just been killing and killing and killing, he has an EMP for the next fight.
Oh, they're still getting aggressive here. LGE just trying to fight off a little bit more, as they know they need to build that Transcendence rather quickly. Otherwise, they might not have an answer for Micha and Hybe's combination, the Graviton Dragon Strike, that will be able to capture this first point should LGE.Huya not build up a support ult to answer quickly enough. Although, obviously, that EMP could come into play as well. We know Haker is very solid in these situations.
Well, the Graviton Dragon Strike combo from T1W just might be the tools they need to get on this point. As the Graviton's run from Micha, there is the Dragon Strike just in time before the EMP from Haker is dropped. 3 kills claimed from T1W as the EMP, so little value from Haker. See if he could try to prevent the push from T1W. It's not going to happen. They unlock the payload.
Yeah, the issue there was the grab was just already down, so LGE.Huya, they couldn't really follow up on the EMP because they were just locked into one single position. So T1W cleaning things up now, sticking to this composition where, you know, once we get into these chokes, still that shield pressure is going to be a massive factor. JMac is going to be struggling, I think, to keep his shield up high to be able to take these fights against Silver 3, who obviously has a really good opportunity here to come out ahead because of the difference in shield pressure.
And this high ground position is going to be great for Hybe to just farm another one. Has to be a little careful because Molly will try and snipe you out from the sky. So they do have that combo, but I don't feel like it's an answer to Haker. And speaking of answer, Piggy throws out the Graviton, and it starts to dwindle away the forces of T1W, but they use the barrier, not able to save Melandron, but the space has already been occupied from LGE, who used the Transcendence to push T1W back into spawn.
We also see LGE at an advantage here going into this next fight. I mean, the combo from T1W could be up, but Heurix, he knows better now. He knows he needs to get that EMP up quickly, or else he's not going to be able to save his team once they get locked down by the grab. And at least this time around, Hamzah, he's going to have the sound barrier should things go a little bit awry from Heurix like it did last time around.
Graviton Dragon Strike about to be at the ready for T1W. Now Heurix can't just use these EMPs to try and prevent this. His team can't follow up if they're grabbed like he said in that one fight. So Heurix has to be very smart. He's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and a lot of weight on his shoulders to get value from this, exactly like that. Molly with a 3K as he's Zenyatta player from LGE. This is how they continue to hold this defense.
And that first pick actually came out before the EMP did, so he was able to find that kill so early, and Heurix again finding another kill. Hybe just trying to get over to his teammate to actually get some healing without going into the spawn so that he could give his teammate a little bit more ult charge. Going for the efficiency play, well, doesn't work out that time around, and now LGE.Huya again are just in such a good position here because they're building up answers to the same combo that T1W has struggled to actually get out at all over the last two fights.
So there is a barrier almost transcended, so T1W, this combo might not be 100% win. Graviton, Dragon Strike, Silver 3 also has a Shatter. We'll see what a long range grab and Dragon Strike thrown from T1W, but Piggy did catch them in his own grab. Not any kills really converted from this Dragon Strike combination, but they try and get a foot on the payload. J-Mac, shield is low, but a nice block comes through from Silver 3. Not giving this one up yet. Now the rally will start. They're using support ults on cooldown essentially as LGE. They want to take a back seat here because they'll have EMP, they'll have some tools to work with, but they don't want to get staggered out here.
This was actually a really good disengage from LGE. They pull back, they know that they have the ability to just kind of wait things out for the EMP, let that cart push up. That's fine, because if they can swing the fight here, that's such a long walk for T1W to come back from all the way from that first point.
Hybe still pressuring the shield of J-Mac. T1W have meters to go. They're awaiting the EMP from Heurix in what position. You know, you can see them spread out a little bit. They don't have any support ultimates, so they just gotta hope that they don't get hit with it, or they can survive as long as they can. But LG definitely taking their time. Finally, the EMP just dropped on T1W, who instantly lose their main tank. Time and time again, Silver 3 does not survive longer than 5 seconds. But barrier and counter from both support ultimates from LGE. You don't want to see that. You want to alternate them a little, try and extend the value that you can get, as T1W were able to conserve their transcendence at least.
And now this is a little bit scary for LGE. They would have been in a great position if they held either one of those, because they could have met grab for grab and just sustained, keeping them off the point. But 5 seconds left, the grab goes down. Can anyone even get to the payload?
I don't know, we're about to find out. The answer is no. T1W will not get the payload to point B.
That was a good adaptation there. They knew that they, you know, it would have gone 50-50 if they actually took that fight straight up. So instead of taking the fight, they just delay it, and that works out for them quite well. At least this time around, they just force everybody away from the payload because everybody has to go through that choke just to get to it.
Ooh, that was the first round. And kind of surprising, this was T1W's choice of map and lafon. What did you think about it? You know, you had a lot of criticism about the support ultimate usage from both sides.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to talk about. I think support ultimates has been the make or break so far, and right now the difference has been T1W having more bad support ultimates than LGE. LGE, I think, had like, what, 3 or 4? T1W's had consistently bad ultimates. And actually, it's not just the ultimate efficiency, it's the fact that T1W isn't protecting their backline from the Sombra at all. So it really makes it difficult for both, for Illusion and Wide to really farm up to the Transcendence, to the to the Sound Barrier, rather. And you know, when they do have it, they're kind of countering the MP out properly, but a lot of times what you'll see is that Heurix's 30-40% even sometimes ahead of both of them. And, you know, the fact that that's happening means that the supports are getting so much pressure that they can't really farm, and they're not able to really come back to counter it out. And then, of course, you double support ultimate in a fight that you won, and that just, you know, continues to throw yourself behind even further in terms of economy. So I think right now the difference has been T1W. I think in terms of the matchup in the tank war, it's tough to call it because, you know, we haven't really seen Silver 3 play the game, and so T1W can need to clean that up a lot more as they head into this next half.
I definitely noticed that too. Silver 3 is just barely
Poor
living.
guy.
Where are these resources going? Is he not getting enough? Is he having too much and still dying? But lafon is absolutely right. You've got to keep your eye on Heurix, especially when he sneaks in your backline.
Absolutely, and he can do just that here. High ground advantage here to T1W. They have to drop down pretty shortly, but it's going to be Langza kind of sneaking around, going to be maybe just displacing whoever decides they want to try to stay up there.
I do like the Ana choice from T1W, denied those resources from LGE. It is a resource battle after all, but Heurix did get stunned. Again, he does survive. Even when he gets stunned from Milanron, he lives through to tell the tale, as LGE actually are commanding and get the first take in front of the eyes from T1W, who really haven't dropped anyone. T1W need to play aggressive. They need to go forward. They're too focused on dislodging people from the high ground, and now you fed so many ultimates. First Transcendence goes down from Molly. LGE resources are going to be in their favor. Silver 3 receives a nano, but he's not being aggressive enough with it because he doesn't have a shield to stand on.
Oh, that's 2 ticks now. J-Mac under fire, but the grab is ready for Piggy. He got it so quick there, he could just drop it now.
Yeah, does catch Micha and Milanron and not converting that into kills until J-Mac comes into the picture. 2 ticks, LGE looking for more, but they want to take the time to farm up these ultimates. You're gonna need a lot to push through that main archway. So T1W giving this one up. That's a pretty quick take from LGE.
You can tell that T1W has done their homework. They have the right idea with these compositions that they've been playing. You know, playing the Hanzo, playing the Ana. We see a lot of teams actually playing both to try to counter out a Sombra. Maybe we'll get that from T1W in the future, but right now it just doesn't seem like they have the opportunity to be able to afford them the ability to swap here. So LGE.Huya now going forward. Massive opportunity for them now to do an aggressive EMP play. Maybe just throw their bodies behind it. Try to catch T1W off guard, see if they can even pull out a couple of ultimates in the process here.
Really, there's 2 fights left before LGE get to that white box of victory. There's an EMP, the Shatter doesn't want to get thrown here from J-Mac. Kind of holds on to it as they get grabbed from Michia, but the kills don't get converted. And again, T1W, they grab, but they lose Silver 3 in the process. LGE move forward. This is a really good disengage from T1W, but J-Mac won't let him go.
Yeah, J-Mac he's gonna get slept for that, but there's a grab. That's an aggressive grab. They're gonna try to actually stagger out T1W and force the sound barrier out. So that's actually okay for them here because now they have both of their support ults for this next fight, whereas T1W, they just don't.
If you had that maybe just a little bit later, you could have actually zoned them off and just pushed the payload in front of them. But 2 support ultimates, as you said, but a nano from 2 Silver 3 is going to be important. Take that Rien duel and take it quick. Silver 3 gets the nano, but the Transcendence from Molly keeps up the pressure from LGE, who don't give up too much space. LGE only have a barrier left, T1W a lot more in the tank. But really, there's 1 fight remaining, and T1W have to hold this for quite a while.
Oh, there's an engage with the bomb. They're going to dive in, but not going to find anything this time around. They could see LGE.Huya actually just answering back with the sound barrier, but in time, Micha will actually have the Graviton. They might not actually need it here, though, with that pick.
It's about time we saw Heurix die on a flank. How many times has he been back there and no one cares? Care about Heurix. Today we care. But he's dead, but he's going to be coming back with a vengeance. That EMP just might seal the deal for LGE.
They have to get it out quick, though. They know they have the sound barrier. They know they have the EMP, and you see Micha actually hiding here with the Graviton. He's just going to drop it down.
Great job from T1W to pull the trigger first. The barrier sustains from Langza, but Heurix decides to use the EMP, although his team really can't engage off of it. Silver 3 dies instantly. That's just Silver 3 things. He's always going to be dead at the start of fights. Now, how did T1W respond to this? They cannot lose this fight. They actually get grabbed. Thankfully, 2 supports from T1W can actually stall out the cart, but the damage is done. LGE swinging away and crushing T1W in their map choice and now leading the series 2-0.
It just seems like LGE just knows exactly how to deal with T1W bouncing back in such a big way from their matchup in the next qualifier where they played against them. And on top of that, their playoffs run so far has been so clean, especially compared to T1W, who, I mean, map 5s all the way through.
Absolutely. We're going to bring back our expert lafon, and did you see any improvements from the ultimate usage from both sides?
I mean, Well, from LGE, yes. From T1W, I don't think they played the game long enough to get an idea if that actually happened or not. And I mean, that's slightly over the top against T1W. But ultimately, what it comes down, I mean, really, pun intended here. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that T1W, they've struggled. We talked about this at the top of the show. They've struggled getting here, right? They took 3-2 against Lucky Future. They took a 3-2 against LGD as well. And LGE, you know, had to play against a very aggressive Bilibili Gaming, who we at the beginning of the season considered to be one of the better teams in this region. And T1W just hasn't been able to play the same level of aggression that Bilibili did in the semifinals. And so LGE has had full control of this match. I don't think T1W has ever actually aggressed onto LGE in their comfort zone, right? Like on maps where Sombra is weak, naturally weak, that's where LGE has looked, quote, weak. But even then, they've been very competitive. And then on points where Sombra is strong, you know, T1W just hasn't been able to play the game. So right now, I think for T1W, you just more... At this point, you're already making mistakes playing slower, so why not make mistakes playing faster and try and force LGE to do the same?
Try something.
Yeah.
Think about Silver 3 too, because something that we've seen a lot of teams do to try to, you know, outplay or outmaneuver the Sombra-based composition that is expected to come from LGE.Huya is the combination, not one or the other, which we've seen from T1W so far, but the combination of Hanzo and Ana together to be able to combat the Sombra, because it allows you to take on that Rien duel a little bit better. So far, a big struggle for T1W has been keeping Silver 3 alive. He's really struggled to stay alive in this matchup because of how much pressure.
LGE have a very strong lead so far, 2-0 over past season champions of T1W now. Will we get to see a comeback here? It is first to 4. There is some maps we still have to go. But T1W, they gotta just stand up here. They're looking very sluggish.
Yeah, and I think at this stage right now, as we do actually have a sub coming in, Assassin going to be subbing in for Mija, and something that might signal is one of two things. Either A, they might want to bring in something interesting here, you know, some other kind of pick, like perhaps a Mei or a sniper pick or something of that nature. The other alternative is that they really need some consistency, some playmaking at the Zarya role. We've seen Assassin do some good things as opposed to Mija in that role specifically, so that could be an opportunity for T1W to kind of shore a couple of their faults up perhaps and start coming back into this matchup. But I think this is really signaling T1W wanting to play more DPS
and switching something up, right? We talked about Micha. Okay, now Assassin comes in, maybe more of a consistent Zarya, yes, but giving you the options of DPS, like you said. We are going into Hanamura shortly, where, I mean, usually in this meta for God knows how long, we see the 3-3, we see the Somber Goats, but Hanamura, when you bring a DPS in like that, a DPS specialist, what could you expect?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, if you're ever bringing Assassin in, everybody has to immediately at least consider that Widow might be a pick, or some kind of long-range hit scan, something like that. That might be an option for them. He is known for playing those sniper roles. He's also known for playing some of these kind of, you know, flex picks that maybe Micha doesn't have the hero pool for, and that's why they have Assassin on this roster, because he can kind of fulfill those duties for the team. So T1W, I think the expectation for them right now, again, is just that they want to play some DPS, or at least they want to consider playing DPS here as they get into this map. And they know that they have at least the fallback of having Assassin on the Zarya, and they know that he's going to be proficient in that role, at least as good as Micha has been so far for them.
And at least the last time we saw Assassin here in playoffs was in the semifinal versus LGD, where they did play some crazy stuff, you know, triple tank with a Genji somehow, and all kinds of stuff. We'll see what we'll be coming out with. So T1W coming out the doors with the Hammond and the Diva this time. So not just going to be solo tanking this one. So the 2-2-2 with the Honor Mercy.
A little bit of support for Silver 3 this time, going to help the boy out so that at least Hybe gets the hacks instead of Silver 3. So this is at least just some ability to deal with that.
Okay, T1W already getting their foot onto the point slowly but surely. And well, they did lose Hybe's mech, and you can see it's interesting that LGE have just completely given it up. And this is smart too. You don't want to feed more ult charge, especially with that snowball potential when you have all these ultimates from point A fight to push it into point B.
Yeah, and speaking of snowball, you deny the ability for them to actually have a momentum push by giving up that point when you do. So both teams gonna make some swaps, although LGE.Huya with maybe some kind of advantage here because they do look very solid in that Sombra v Sombra. Assassin, yes, he's, you know, pretty much on pace with Heurix right now for the EMP, but we know how good LGE.Huya can be following up with their EMPs as opposed to their opposition so far.
They also give up Huya on the Zenyatta. You don't have that transcendence. You give him the ability to give Nano to Silver 3, who we've been talking about has been struggling in the Rien department. And the Rien matchup matters so much in GOATs. T1W, though, getting on the point, getting ready to set up maybe an EMP and Nano play, but Heurix making it happen with the EMP. It's already equal trades, but Assassin proving his substitution quite important for T1W. Double kill, and the rest follows from T1W, getting their second tick. And at 6 minutes, this is an incredible time bank. LGE need to shave this down.
I don't even know if they can actually win this fight. I don't even know how long they could actually shave time off for. T1W is in such a commanding position on this point, and they can find more kills here quite easily.
Well, they got hit, I think, by a pretty nasty anti, and now they move forward, trying to re-engage. It did lose Milanron, and LGE had used the rally to try and re-engage. And maybe T1W are happy with this. That could have been really bad for LGE if they walked away with that 6-minute time bank.
All right, so LGE.Huya are able to defend there, but that was so close. T1W, if they would have been able to invest the rally a little bit earlier there and just sustain post transcendence from Molly, they might have been able to turn that one back around and get control in their favor once more. But now we see LGE.Huya getting back into position, giving up the high ground once again as Assassin is looking to assassinate Molly. Not going to get the benefit of it this time around though, but same position here. Nano boost ready for from Huya, likely to be given to Silver 3.
Wow, Heurix's gonna drop the EMP as T1W drops to the ground, but Huya was able to use that Nano, as you said, onto Silver 3, who swings away, gets that Rien to the low ground. That's big, free Earth Shatter. I don't even think it connected to anything, but plan B is there. You got High B's Grav, traps some of LGE, and hey, you even zone him off. You will take that, and what a massive time bank T1W just got.
And the one thing that really LGE.Huya has been so good at is EMP follow-ups. This time 2 for 2, not really being able to finish the job behind Heurix's EMP. So I think honestly this is a big distinct contrast between what we've seen in the last 2 maps and now what we're getting here. Seems like for some reason T1W in the halftime have really kind of figured out exactly how to disengage or at least minimize the effect and the impact of those Heurix EMPs.
I just love Assassin so much. He just came out of nowhere. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they have EMPs. And he came in and was proving to be combating Heurix one-on-one on these EMPs and having so much more value. And not only was he getting good EMP value, but he was assassinating the backline of LGE. That's when T1W were missing. Stop with this GOAT stuff. When Heurix is such a problem, you gotta deal with him. And they're gonna deal with it by mirroring that exact hero.
And something that they could have done in King's Row is exactly what they did here, is force that really aggressive push early, get momentum, then make your swap and try to maintain that to keep pushing through that second stage. They didn't really do that. They tried to go for a different look, something that we haven't ever seen them on, which is High B on the Hanzo. And that's still something that we could see going forward, is these different takes, things that other regions have found to be proven successful against these types of compositions, these Sombra compositions that we're going to be getting from LGE.Huya. But this one worked out actually quite a lot better for T1W, just coming out swinging aggressive pushes. And it's going to be LGE.Huya once again with that Sombra, and T1W, they've got Assassin now on the Zarya.
And we'll see how much of a difference that will make from Michia's play style. Now adjusting to that, you know, Assassin hasn't had as much playtime as Michia, so this is an adjustment for T1W on the defense, as LGE.Huya stick to what they know best with the Sombra Goats, and now it's finding an opportunity to get Heurix maybe through this doorway. You can see the translocator over the top. You think Huya might have spotted it, see if he can get him out of invisibility, but LGE finding a window of opportunity.
Molly just trying to get a little bit of damage, see if they can get a pick to get their push through. Otherwise, they're going to have to wait for an opening, probably from Heurix, to just dive through onto the point and force T1W back.
And it's still a bit of a dance at the front door, taking a lot longer than usual. I mean, Piggy's high energy. Are they waiting for ultimates? Are they waiting for someone to scream and say go? It has to be now. LGE don't want to waste too much time. Piggy gets behind Silver 3. That is not a position you want to be in. And that's up to the supports. Molanron has to be stunning anyone who goes for Silver 3 like that. And now you've given Piggy so much energy that he can just put out so much DPS. And look at this. T1W don't even want to dance. They don't want to tango. They give it up.
That was really, really smart from T1W. Look how close Piggy is to having his grab. Yes, he's going to still have it pretty shortly into this next fight, but T1W's best bet was deny ult charge here because they weren't sure exactly how close Piggy was, but they knew he was getting there. So deny him the opportunity to just instigate a fight early with that grab because they know they don't yet have an answer, but Huya now is nearing his transcendence, so at least now they will.
Now contesting this high ground. T1W is ready for them. Transcendence at the ready for Piggy's grab coming up. You can see T1W actually now drop to the low ground. This is maybe a free Piggy grab, but you can see how dispersed T1W are, so it's going to be a tough one. Haker gets get a translocator up, but you can see how T1W are hiding out of line of sight. It's going to be difficult for him. As T1W are all types of split up, Haker decides to go for the supports. It doesn't get Huya though, so Transcendence is out.
And we're going to see the Graviton actually down. Piggy's still holding on to his for the fire back.
Yeah, he does fire back exactly that. Silver 3 tries to go for a shatter to push away the forces of LGE while they were engaging into that grab. And Hybe's self-destruct absolutely not needed, but it's okay. You hold a defense, and now you have a barrier. And LGE actually having full reset. They're just taking a detour.
And they're going to re-engage too, knowing that they have the sound barrier available. Maybe try to set up for an aggressive boop shatter play with JMac, just displacing the Reinhardt here.
So JMac's shield is actually low and barrier used. LGE using this to engage T1W. Silver 3 actually got hacked and stunned. This forced Illusion to try and use the barrier to save his main tank player. Meanwhile, T1W still holding a defense strong. 5 minutes and less for LGE. And soon to be at a time bank disadvantage.
Really like the play there from Molanron, just diving in front of Assassin, who was the only person to get shattered by JMac, and just putting his shield up for him, soaking up the pressure so that Assassin wouldn't fall. And because of that, he stayed in the fight, maintained his energy level, and is also getting very, very close to having another grab, beating Piggy out as he was the first one to drop his earlier. Now LGE, they have the EMP, they have the Transcendence, but across the board, T1W with this high ground control and their ability to actually control the point once they do make that drop, it's been very difficult for LGE.Huya to do much of anything, and they've had to wait for a little bit now for the EMP from Haker.
All you have to do is scare Silver 3 a little bit, and that's how you bait both support ultimates out. I mean, that's how they're going to get Huya's Transcendence. Haker sees getting ready with the EMP, waits for T1W to drop, and that's up to LGE to put that pressure on the front line. As Haker goes for a vanilla hack, and this forces down the force of T1W right into an EMP, but it only catches the Rien and the Diva. Huya now uses the Transcendence as the grab actually from Assassin comes out. Now it's Molly actually's Transcendence that's used to sustain the offense of LGE pushing forward and dismantling the front line. T1W now under fire. We'll have to try and contest this one, but at least LGE at a time bank disadvantage.
We'll see LGE just fighting to stay in this one. Yeah, that time bank advantage, but looks like LGE still hanging on. Still need to find these last few kills.
JMac's gonna get a free shatter as soon as they come down. All are soon to fall like dominoes. T1W still throwing bodies and bodies and bodies on the point. Getting down to 3 minutes and 12. About there will be the time bank that LGE finish with.
And you can see exactly why they wanted to pick Hanamura as well. They know that they have a good shot at this map.
Well, lafon, ever since T1W brought Assassin in, they have looked so much better.
Yeah, this is, I mean, Assassin has the better Zarya between him and Pichette, right? Doomfist is his best character. Beyond that, he really struggles. Assassin has the flexibility. You know, we kind of talked up the DPS composition that T1W might run if Assassin came in, but you don't need that. You know, I guess Sombra's DPS, but, you know, she's DPS in the same way that Brig is a support. And,
sure.
You know, just basically there for the EMP and the hack. But that being said, the play from the Zarya has actually been really good from Assassin and has actually brought T1W back in this matchup. And I would be frustrated if T1W after this map go back to Pichette, because I think here Assassin gives them the best possible chance at winning. They have, you know, the bubble, everything from the bubble timings to the graviton surge usage to the way Assassin peels for Silver 3 has been better. across the board, and it's giving T1W their better look so far. And I think here now for T1W, they just have to keep it going. I think they made LGE sweat just a little bit on LGE's run, and they have to keep that going if we want to make this series competitive.
I mean, T1W have a big time bank advantage. We're heading into now the second round of attacks. So the smaller time bank does go first, LGE, with 3 minutes to get as far as they can. I mean, minute and 46 difference between T1W. We'll see if this plays into LGE's hands, who now want to go up to 3-0.
We'll see LG trying to get Heurix into position once again here, try to force T1W back. It took a little bit of time for them to set up the last time, and they had to do that dance for quite a long time, and looks like they're still doing that here as Heurix is finally going to be able to teleport himself over the top, work his way back around to the point, and pull T1W back so that LG, the rest of this team, can actually start pushing forward.
What I think is standing out to me is Molly way farther ahead on the Transcendence game. He's been hitting his shots, and that's going to be big to get the Transcendence, and this could allow them to either sustain later on in the fight or just enough resources to push through this choke point.
Well, there it is. Heurix on the point, pulls T1W back, and now LG can just dive in. They have the Transcendence available as well.
Someone save Silver 3. He's just dead all the time. Discord Orb stunned, and you can see how everyone turned around to pay attention to Heurix, and Silver 3's like, I'll hold the line, I'll hold the door. But we all know how that ended.
Ooh, spoilies.
Oh, come on, that was seasons ago.
We'll give it to you, we'll give it to you. LGE.Huya, though, they claim this point, and they get another 30 seconds added to their time bank. Heurix, 80% towards the EMP. They're going to need that to be able to capture this second point, and if they can actually just push into this, jump right into T1W before T1W actually can control them, they don't have the grab here. T1W actually just has to back off right now to the point.
They're playing really aggressive, and Heurix setting up the EMP. T1W smartly trying to hide behind this wall, see if they can get out of line of sight. T1W now getting on to the point, but Silver 3's kind of away from the rest of the team, and a Transcendence is triggered early from Huya as Silver 3's hacked. You can't let this happen at all. LGE haven't had to use really anything yet, and they have the full map control.
Oh, they're gonna actually push them off the point. As soon as T1W tries to dive in, they're not gonna have a good fight because EMP's at the ready.
Yes, as soon as they tried to contest, he's like, nah, you are no longer allowed to play the game for this many seconds. And Piggy is going to add insult to injury with the Graviton on top of that. But LG have used so much, and T1W haven't fallen yet. The respawn advantage is so critical. That's why LG have to finish this quick. And is that a tick? Perhaps it is not. Just also a tick.
That was actually a clutch swap from Milan Ron, who went over to the Ana after he saw Huya utilize the Transcendence. He knew that they needed more sustain. He went over to the Ana and landed a nasty biotic grenade that gave T1W the 2 kills that they needed to swing that fight in their favor. Otherwise, LGE, they probably would have capped there.
Well, Assassin's about to grab them, but he doesn't have any energy, so does he want to pull the trigger first, or does he want to wait to build up energy to add more DPS to this? But you can always have Milan Ron give the Nano Silver 3 and let him just carry in the DPS department, right? So LGE decide they don't want to tangle on the high ground. They rotate towards left, and they really only have a barrier to deal with, and they have 6 ultimates of T1W to sustain through.
Yeah, they need the EMP if they're going to be able to cancel out any of this from T1W. Without the EMP, there's no way LGE.Huya swings this in their favor without some heroics from one of these guys.
Speaking of heroics, they're really not battling at all. They're taking their sweet time, and now we're about to be in overtime, and LGE need to finish this here. EMP to catch Huya, and it only catches some of the front line, but a berry to sustain from Illusion keeps the front line nice and healthy. As LGE finally step onto the point, Transcendence is triggered here from Molly. As you could see that Silver 3 had used a shatter earlier. Now T1W taking a step back. They've given the Nano to Silver 3. He's a little bit shy, doesn't want to dance with J-Mac too much, but someone who wants to dance is Piggy with a grab, throws it in, tries to finish the job for LGE, and it seems they might have done just that. T1W have one last chance to get back, but they just have nothing in the tank left.
I don't even think they have anybody that can actually make it to this point, and that's exactly the case. LGE with a 4th point on the board now, with just not too much time, but hey, getting the job done. And remember what they had to deal with. They had to get that EMP online. They had to combat T1W's arsenal. 6 ultimates at the ready, and still they somehow manage and get that 4th point.
I don't even know. That didn't look like a winnable fight when all you had was a barrier and they had everything in the kitchen sink. So they played it smarter, playing extremely slow, waited for T1W to act first and then act second, and somehow T1W kept Silver 3 alive for so long. So that helped.
Yeah, just, you know, not enough to actually defend the point, but
for a
this
long
time
time, till
around-
overtime at least.
yeah, hey, you take all the time off the clock, and that's actually a really good point to make as well, is once you take the time off the clock, you know that you have a win condition there. If you can make sure that you actually get to that second point and capture it with more than a minute, all you have to do now is push in and win one fight, and maybe not even just win it, but also just force your opposition to play the point. Then you can actually just kind of hustle around it a little bit, surround your opponent, and maybe even play a DPS-based composition where they are going to struggle to sustain on the point, where they don't really have any points of recession to fall back to and get healed back up.
And now going into the next round of attack for T1W this time, 4 minutes and 46. If they can at least finish point A and point B with time, a big winning condition will be set for them to at least take a map in this series. This is what we want to see. And we've been waiting for this, Heurix. This DPS could have been used to take the point on King's Row, and this might be big for them to take point A here.
Oof, Silver 3, it doesn't matter what character you're on. LGE.Huya is going to be focusing you, but they get the res, so he's back into it. And T1W still fighting, still trying to keep the dream alive right now as they're just pressuring LGE.Huya and their tank-based composition here.
Well, at least Reinhardt, he had more health to deal with, but you don't have a second res at least for a little while. T1W already missing one, and maybe if they just have Silver 3 focus on positioning inside of the point. He looked like he was trying to dislodge LGE from the high ground, and when they're all up there, that's a 1 versus 4. Not a lot of Gym Fist can do that.
Ooh, that's a good sleep on J-Mac. Not going to be able to find a kill from it, though, and we'll have to see how Piggy wants to deal with this barrage. Milanron just waiting to just throw that one out, and already a pick for Huya.
So T1W, I mean, they're losing bodies and not necessarily focusing on the objective, right? They're tickling LGE all over the place. LGE have been contesting the point, but I want to see T1W work together cohesively inside of the point together. And there's the barrage, but again, no help. No help is there for Milanron.
Yeah, so he's going to fall, and LGE actually pushing back T1W. And as they come back to spawn, you have to wonder, are they going to stick to this? Are they going to want to stick to this composition or start switching things up? Because
Please, bro.
They're getting down to 3 minutes. And, you know, if they don't switch things up now, if they go in for another couple of pushes, they won't have time to build up ultimates. So really, really smart play from T1W to make that swap here early rather than falling behind later in the game.
But I like that they at least keep Assassin on the Sombra against Haker. That has been proven to be T1W. I mean, they've been looking so much better since he's been substituted in. And working out towards an EMP Nano onto Silver 3. And an interesting rotation towards the right side. LG are okay with that. They'll wait for you. J-Mac's going to have the Primal. And that's going to be what LG are working towards.
Well, by Assassin, not going to be able to do much from spawn there. As 2:25 on the clock now, LG pushing back into T1W with that 6v5 advantage.
Still, LG being pretty patient with their ultimate, surprisingly, from what we've seen throughout the series. As J-Mac hasn't primaled right away, they know without Assassin, T1W are really not going to go for a decisive play until now. Huya gives the Nano to Silver 3, gets himself on the point. As J-Mac is using the primal meanwhile, and you can see Silver 3's kind of confused. Where is the rest of my team?
Looking around, wondering where everybody went. Down under 2 minutes here. They're going to get the first tick, but LG pushing back in. It's just a matter of time before Haker has his EMP. Assassin waiting to actually throw one out of his own.
Self-destruct from Piggy towards the left. Doesn't catch anyone, and meanwhile, 2 have already dropped from T1W. This has been a non-stop fight. Nothing really has been converted from T1W besides a tick. We need to see cohesion. We need to see them working together when they're playing this Ghost, and Assassin has to lead the way with this EMP and not die.
Yeah, I mean, last time we saw, or in this last fight, Kami actually caught him out, got the stun before Assassin wanted to pull it out. Luckily for Assassin, he was fortunate enough to not be in the cast of the EMP. You could see him trying to set it up, but Kami just caught him a little early there. So now T1W pushing back in. They're going to want to use the EMP here, but LGE have some defensive ultimates in stow to answer back with, as well as an EMP of their own.
So T1W thought they were going to go towards the right side to avoid the dives from JMac. Now going right towards the point. There is Haker with the EMP hitting every single run from T1W, and already a support down. Illusion gets hacked again. And now you think an opportunity is there for Assassin as Silver 3 combines it with a Shatter. It does catch a few from LGE, but Link said that at least use the barrier, but it's not enough to save LGE. JMac also died, I believe, with Primal. And finally we'll see a glimmer of hope from T1W to get the point A.
Now the question is, well, first of all, they're not going to have the opportunity to cap with more than a minute. So now, best case scenario here, you're going to see both of these teams go, further rounds, have a minute each to try to go at each other. But let's focus on here and now. T1W, Hybe with the grab, Molly to answer with the Transcendence. JMac sticking to the Winston, actually, as he does have that Primal available. They know that he could get that high ground reset. Ooh, a nice hack on the Silver there.
Not engaging off of this quite yet. The grab is thrown first from Hybe and feeding into it. Silver 3 gets the pin, but it's a 2 for 1, and T1W trying to equalize these numbers, but this all favors LGE. The spawns are so close here on point B, Hanamura, but T1W really don't have a reset button.
Not at all, but they need to stay in this fight. They have to make sure this goes their way, or else they're going to lose this map.
Yeah, at this point, you just can't back out anymore. It wouldn't be enough time, and T1W have used almost everything in the bank. They have a barrier left over, but thankfully, silver lining is that Haker is dead. They have a few seconds before this EMP will be unleashed. T1W get at least 2 ticks, but they gotta finish the map. Ooh. There is Piggy with the self-destruct. It's looking bad for T1W. LGE about to be 3-0 in this series. It is first of 4. It's not over yet, but maybe the nail in the coffin as Hybe throws out the grab, and now the kills are being converted for T1W, who are looking to get their final tick. There's Kami with an emergency bastion. It's kind of working, guys. The Transcendence making him almost invincible until Assassin says, no, you cannot play the game, and you cannot touch this point.
That was looking pretty solid there for LGE, but T1W battling back into it, clawing back into that fight after being down, turning it back around, and even sustaining against the Transcendenced Bastion that came in as a desperate play from LGE. Finally, we're going to be seeing these teams, neck and neck right now with a minute to go to see if one side could get ahead of the other.
Well, Hybe goes grab. I think that's what sealed the deal for T1W. I had already called that they pretty much lost. They lost half their team, and they still pushed forward. It must have been Hybe having so high energy that kind of carried the team there, along with, who even knows, LGE. They had Haker die early on the fight who couldn't get that early EMP, and then he came back, and wasn't necessarily what LGE could have, the EMP couldn't convert that fight for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in these situations, when you're trying to sustain a fight, especially as an attacking team, you need sustain and you need lethality. You need to be able to convert kills so that you can reduce the amount of pressure that's being taken by the respawning team, or rather from the respawning team. And the best 2 characters to do that realistically are going to be Zarya and Brigitte. If you can keep those 2 alive, they're going to be able to put in a lot of work because they're just putting out constant pressure, as well as supporting teammates and helping to keep everybody else up. So T1W really benefiting off of that. Milan Ron as well as Hybe really putting in a lot of work, have some incredibly pivotal plays there to making sure that T1W able to close that one out.
And now on the attack, the 3rd round of attack here, LGE out the gates with their usual stuff, the Somber Goats. But what's interesting, T1W now having Silver 3 on the Winston, and you can see LGE are forced into this tiny room. They want to limit the area that T1W can dive into, but it doesn't matter because Silver 3 will join you there.
Yeah, that was a 4-player biotic grenade from Huya just to easily take that fight. I mean, Silver 3 can dive into that whenever he wants. There's no way LGE is going to be able to fend him off there. No healing, especially given that Silver 3 is going to be on the Winston just pushing out that cleave damage.
Less than 10 seconds left. LGE, they can't shy away. Piggy's also sleeping. They gotta wait for him. So T1W don't have any ultimates except maybe a nano. They're gonna give that to Silver 3, and LGE have to touch the point. Someone is there backcapping, looking for their first take. LGE need to group up on this, but Silver 3 acting like a fortress. He gets hacked away. He can't use the primal. This was such an important EMP from Haker that just got this win for LGE to get onto point A, taking all 3 ticks within the only minute that they had to do it with. What a play from Haker.
Oh, it's T1W trying trying to do exactly what they did prior, sticking into this fight, trying to convert kills as best they can. It just doesn't look like they're going to be able to here.
Oh, it got kind of close there a little bit with the primal from Silver 3 getting some kills. But LGE, with the minute they take point A, and that's going to prove to be even a pretty tough challenge from T1W. Even if we don't see anything else from point B, can T1W even do that?
Have to see. LGE still attacking too as well. I mean, LGE, if they're going to be able to get Heurix's EMP back up, and they have the ability to kind of draw this fight out a little bit longer, as long as they don't die to Assassin's grab, they might be able to build to it.
If that hack would have went through onto the Rien, J-Mac would have got a really nice shatter to open up the point for point B, but LGE is still sustaining for now, but they lost their main tank. That barrier came way too late from Langza, and now you have the Graviton from Assassin wiping away the forces of LGE on their final offense. But it's not over. It's never over with these guys. EMP and Transcendence, the last two ultimates that LGE have, but not enough damage to pierce through T1W at the moment, so they will finish here. But the winning condition here is that can T1W get even point A?
Yeah, T1W, I mean, it basically feels like they're quoting the Notebook a little bit, right? It's not over. It's still not over. Is that right? Did I get that right? I had to make sure. But, I mean, they have been able to stick into some of these fights where, realistically, they shouldn't have that good of a shot at being able to win those out. And somehow they're able to sneak out these wins against LGE.Huya, who otherwise have been very, very solid at executing and finishing fights out and closing them down. So far, I mean, T1W has fallen victim to that over the last two maps prior to this Hanamura, but Hanamura, things have turned around, and the only difference so far is the way that they're playing and Assassin being brought into the mix as well.
The way that they're playing, T1W had a minute 40 advantage over LGE, but then they wasted that precious time running DPS and not knowing how to do that properly. They spent also a lot of time extending these fights, using Resurrects on the Silver 3 on the Doomfist, challenging 1v4s. T1W eventually went to Goats where the time bank advantage didn't even matter anymore. And then in the Goats, or the matchup that they had at the same times, LGE just getting that much further might just secure them with the 3-0.
Yeah, a minute. We've seen LGE.Huya, you know, they've taken a little bit longer to try to get through that doorway. Getting Heurix into position does take time for that full rotation, as he does have to teleport over the top and then run around to get set for LGE to push in. But T1W, on the other hand, they're actually going to go for a completely different look. No DPS. They're going to go for that Moira quad tank.
Oh, that hook was also nice from Huya, and this is so scary. You're onto the point with so many beefy, chunky boys, and LGE have to work so much better together to pierce through this. Looking at Heurix, looking at the team to work, and then against a Winston, you gotta deal with a Roadhog hooking you, and all the healing from Molongron, and his fade that makes him so hard to kill. It's going to be a tough ask from LGE. Seems they've tried to ward them off for the moment, but the quad tank too strong from T1W. They will take point A.
The good news here for LGE defending this to at least force a draw is that the EMP is incredibly effective against this composition, especially if they can catch the healers. You know, getting Molongron, getting Illusion are going to be the main thing for Heurix. If he can find them, LG should be okay. Otherwise, T1W, with this momentum coming from point A and having that extra bit of healing and sustain from the Moira, they could go through.
Oh, this is so drawable right now. Less than 9 seconds. Heurix just used EMP. T1W already missing a Lucio. Silver 3 is just constantly hacked, and now he's eliminated. The coalescence from Molongron, not enough, and even Hybe is about to be out of mech. They just did not play this together whatsoever. Now T1W, see if they can at least burn some time, keep this overtime wick burning so reinforcements can come back. But now Assassin's hacked, he can't even use the Graviton. This is great ult tracking from LGE.
Oh, Illusion so close. So he actually does wind up getting the barrier off, and it's a 4-man at that, but the EMP to counter.
Oh, this is so back and forth. The overtime wick is burning away, and they're just keep stepping on it. T1W will never give up until now. And there's your draw. T1W still alive.
All right, well, that at least guarantees that we will be going into that map number 5 here, as the draw has gone through. And remember, this is a first to 4, not, you know, any kind of, you know, best of 7, whatever. We will have to go all the way through. So 2 more maps need to be won by LGE.Huya. And if things are going to be going the other way, T1W still have to win 4.
We're bringing back our expert lafon. We just have to erase, have some amnesia, and just kind of forget Hanamura happened because of the tie, and maybe because of some of the things we saw.
I mean, both these teams are playing ball, but LG is more than happy to catch here. This is, it's been a rough look for T1W. I think Assassin has been their best option, but you know, you're playing quad tank against the Sombra. You know they're playing a Sombra too, and that composition is going to capture first, but you know that they're going to farm EMP for second. It's really, really tough for you know, the moment that you see that you've got the quad tank out, you know they're not taking second point. It's what it comes down to. Like there's no sight unless somehow, you know, you get like a pick off on Haker as he like forgets how to play the game for a whole 30 seconds. You get a hook off and they're walking to spawn. I don't see, like, it's a composition that fundamentally, I guess they want to force the draw. But, you know, now that all that does is it resets the map, and now we're now, at least although we're guaranteed a 5th map, you're still back where you started. So I don't, you know, I don't get the logic behind it. I really don't, and I feel like T1W, they're just grasping at straws here, which is a terrible thing to say only halfway through a grand finals where you haven't really shown up so far.
I mean, it felt like a better look from them when they got the better time bank advantage. They tried the DPS, where we were all kind of saying as analysts, hey, maybe the DPS look would actually work to take the point like King's Row, maybe take Hanamura point A. It took them some time to get that train rolling, though.
But you've got Michi on your roster, and you're playing Silver 3 at Doomfist. I don't get it.
That was my question mark. As soon as I saw that, I saw Silver 3, and I was just like, what?
Oh man, highlight pack here though, and I mean Haker already featuring highly in it. You know, there you go again. This was a sick Bionate though. That was actually really strong from Huya. But you know, one play out of 3 maps is not going to win you a series.
Sure, absolutely. I think the quad tank was a, yeah, you might say desperate move. But hey, they had to get to the point that DPS didn't work, Goats took them too long. You gotta think of option 3, and maybe it's quad tank. And hey, it got them the draw, which makes them, it's not a loss, it's a draw. We forget it and we move on. We're gonna throw it to a quick break. When we get back, it'll be another map. Well, after that draw, LGE are still up 2-0, but according to the rules, you gotta hit 4-0. It's not best of 7. You gotta go all the way through, so T1W will take that draw. You know, we already talked about 2-0 is better than a 3-0.
Yeah, definitely a
According
lot
to
better.
math.
Yeah, since we have our calculators out and everything, we're gonna go ahead and say that one is definitely better, as 2 is less than 3, so a little bit less to come back from. So yeah, they went with that quad tank setup with the Moira just going full on sustain. But something interesting that we also saw was with their DPS based compositions, bringing out Assassin. A lot of the time we actually see Michi in those compositions, because if they want to bring out the Doomfist, well, who better, right? Instead, they had Silver, you know, performing that duty for them, their main tank player. Although now they're actually going to be bringing Michi back in, and I really like to see this. I want to see actually more of the Doomfist. If they do want to pull that out, why not put the player that is just that good at it if you're going to pull it out anyways?
But gotta say, I'm a fan of Assassin. I hate to see him go already. You know, I thought that was T1W's best showing of the Somber Goats.
Absolutely.
And now can Michi step up to not only that role of whether Doomfist, Somber, whatever, but also play a consistent Zarya?
Yeah, and I think that actually, I mean, it really has kind of hurt them, right? Is that Assassin has been really solid on the Zarya throughout, but they know that they really want to have Michi in the mix, so that if they do want to play a DPS comp, which especially throughout the playoffs they've been playing quite a bit of, well, I mean, you still got to have Michi in there so that you can play the Doomfist or play, you know, whatever else he's going to be pulling out. Otherwise, you have Assassin, who does have a lot of different picks he could pull, but perhaps not exactly what they're looking for in these map types, outside of, you know, what we just saw, and, you know, Junkertown being another one.
Well, we did just have a tie, and now on Rialto, kicking things off is Team Green. There's T1W coming out the doors with their usual, and Michi is going to be back on the Zarya. It doesn't seem like they want to try any DPS yet.
We'll see, of course, Haker on the Sombra again. T1W playing back into the mix with Michi on the Zarya, but again, we saw really good stuff when they did have Assassin on that, as well as the Sombra. So We expect T1W to want to play pretty aggressive here. Already Michia getting hacked though.
T1W pushing the car forward, but LGE were on the high ground and actually rotate behind them. A lot of charge given from Piggy, 65% compared to 33 of Michia. And T1W haven't pushed them off. Finally, they start to break down the shield of JMac, but they still have to be wary of Piggy, who's very high energy, and a free shatter goes on. And it might have, start to cancel Milanron's rally that he wanted. Silver 3 dies immediately after the EMP is dropped from Haker. As T1W now missing their main tank, main shield, and about to miss more. Grab thrown from Piggy. Wyatt tries to keep everyone healed up with the Transcendence. And T1W losing supports and losing home slowly but surely, but they just never give up.
Yeah, they absolutely. I mean, they don't have to when they can sustain like this. How are they able to keep everybody healed up? LGE, I mean, they're definitely not holding punches at all. They're throwing as much damage out as they possibly can. And you can see T1W backing LGE up to the bridge, and there's yet another hack going out.
This grab came out from Michia to try and zone them off of the cart. Molly was there with Transcendence. Everything's okay for the moment. Silver 3 will be playing around this payload. Go for a shatter. And as soon as JMac went to the left, he got a free shatter onto the supports into the back. Exactly what T1W needed to get point A.
Now they can start pushing towards this second objective. LGE going to be playing into the high ground if they can get there in time. Otherwise, T1W, they can actually take that away if they move up quickly enough, maybe leaving High B back on the payload so that he can actually go back up to it. But they're actually just going for the triple push, trying to get that cart around away from the high ground before LGE gets back from spawn. But there it is, the grab with the EMP ready for LGE.
And a Transcendence and a barrier to counter this upcoming move, and Piggy throws out the grab first. YS first to use the Transcendence. Michia takes a swim. That's okay. Maybe your team needed you. T1W though, now they get hit by Plan B of LGE, and that's the EMP as Illusion uses the barrier and Haker. Finishing off the rest. T1W now stopped after losing or using every single ultimate they had.
And just as T1W was heating up and really kind of catching on fire, playing pretty well, they just decide, you know what, we gotta cool down, just jump in the river real quick, take a little dip. LGE now playing off of that a bit. They'll take that win however they can get it, and all they have here is a rally and a player coming back from respawn, so T1W could press this, get around this corner and get out of harm's way at least a little bit before we see the Zenyatta coming back into the fight.
They still got some good position on the payload. Finally, LGE do drop right on top of them with the lead of Rally from Kami. Now trying to convert these into kills, they do manage to get Silver 3. It's always a great accomplishment of the LGE to consistently be picking the opposing Reinhardt. And without a main shield, there's so much less damage mitigation, and T1W crumble after this every time.
You're seeing T1W, I mean, while they are pushing pretty effectively here, LGE, when they get these wins, especially in these positions where they can control high ground drop, kind of control the tempo, the pacing of each of these fights, where and when they want to take them, especially given that they have the EMP as well. T1W really need to take the extra time to push forward and try to catch them off, but not doing that at all.
Wow, just melting them away, the DMEG and the rest. LGE holding such a good defense. Not a ton of time left for T1W, but they're building towards ultimates, and this has to happen now.
It's the same problem. You still have to get up to that high ground, or at least force LGE off of it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to follow up on something like a Graviton, which is what you're playing with primarily. So they're going to get grabbed immediately. I don't know if there's going to be enough follow-up here, though.
Yeah, both grabs did get dropped, and T1W still surviving. Piggy stuck on a boat. I don't know what's happening, but finally Silver 3 drops the shatter, and T1W have a bit of an advantage as they clean up the rest of LGE. Thankfully, they can start pushing this payload to the end of point B. There'll probably be one last engage before that.
And we'll have to see if LGE can actually get back in time, and in order to force that fight, they are going to be just kind of pushing in. They won't have any ultimates yet, but they can build into them. They are going to be able to meet them right before the payload gets there.
One last shot for T1W, and not a lot of time on the board, but LGE start first with the barrier, now trying to engage off of this. They caught Milanron, who was past the shield. Silver 3 is off towards the left side. T1W don't play GOATs together, so it causes these people like Milanron to get caught out from the damage from LGE.
And not only that, but a minute remains, and that's it. And again, T1W are caught trying to take LGE off of the high ground again, so even more time needs to be invested for these fights. And the only time LGE gave one up is when they all fell down early to try to take out T1W, and there just wasn't enough follow-up immediately. Here's the EMP play, though, from Heurix. They could actually shut down this fight. They could stall this out a little bit longer and force this to be the last fight.
Yeah, I might not want to do it inside of the building. It's a little bit difficult, but they have to keep illusions out of line of sight.
Ooh.
And he does manage to trigger it before he gets hacked, and Huya is going to keeping that transcendence for the later parts of T1W's fight, but it's less than 20 seconds. It's his last fight. Peggy throws out the grab. Transcendence just in time for Huya, equally matched from Molly. LGE haven't lost anything yet. Pichette now trying to turn things around from T1W with their own grab, and doing just that. T1W will barely get point B.
Sneaking that one out. Really, I mean, just being able to shut down Heurix early on so that he wasn't able to build another EMP quickly, or certainly LG not being able to find the kills that they needed as Illusion was there to counter. Honestly, Illusion and Huya were huge in that last play, and they continue to be huge as they pick off Heurix again here. This time it's the Zenyatta of T1W offering up an opportunity on a silver platter for his team.
Heurix will be back by the time this fight kicks off at the end of Rialto. Less than a minute, really, the last chance T1W have to extend their progress as much as they can. And now self-destruct at the back from Hybe just causes everyone to get out of position, but they collapse on top of Malonrod, who extended past Silver 3 again. JMac could be getting a free shatter, but as T1W tried to escape, they dispersed in different directions, and this is how Silver 3 got caught out.
Now we're going to see LGE. They have one more fight. I mean, these situations have come and gone here where LGE just trying to close out a defense, and T1W keep managing to find ways to battle back through it. We've seen it as well on the last map here, though. LGE looking to close things out. They have the EMP ready. They also, I mean, they have virtually everything but the rally to be able to defend here. 10 seconds remain. T1W need to push forward to the cart now.
And this support play from T1W has to be perfect with the amount of ultimates they have to deal with. Looks like EMP setup from Heurix. It does drop. Huya gets the Transcendence out in time. That's great. You need to keep this barrier for Piggy's grab that just gets launched. Their illusion drops it, but they've lost Silver 3 already. You can't be losing your main shield like that. Now they're going to keep trying to contest. It is overtime. You cannot reset. LGE out of ultimates, but T1W not out of hope as they keep pushing with another grab for Michia, but now losing their mech. They've lost their supports, and that will just be it for T1W. They will not be able to finish Rialto.
Really good block there from Piggy as he's just going to drill into Hybe as well. Just closing off the ability for that shatter to come through from Silver 3. Couple of last second kills, but you know, it was pretty much over at that point already. But still, T1W, they pushed through that first objective pretty well. They got stalled out for quite a long time on point B, but still able to sneak things through a little bit now in a good spot, at least, to be able to do much the same. You know, once you get to that second stage on Rialto, defending that is actually quite easier, certainly an easier defense than a lot of other maps that we've already seen so far.
If only LGE had, or sorry, T1W had the Silver 3 survive. I mean, the support ultimate usage from Huya and Illusion was actually pretty good. They start with the Transcendence and then went for the barrier. And if Silver 3 wouldn't have died, they would have survived both Grav and EMP. But without Silver, there was just nothing protecting the backline, nothing protecting. I mean, T1W used all their cooldowns to just survive the initial engagement. So after that, they were trying to run away, and well, run away they did, away from the payload.
I mean, so far, Illusion, I mentioned him in the first map, and the support line as a whole, Huya and Illusion together, are very, very solid. We can't underplay that at all, undermine that at all. I mean, they are very, very solid players. The issue here is Heurix, trying to deal with the Sombra, constantly putting pressure on your backline while, you know, forcing Hybe to have all these different jobs of, you know, trying to deal with saving Silver 3, trying to deal with saving his backline. There's so many different threats coming from so many different angles, and the issue is that not everybody's going to be kept alive, and Silver 3 is the person taking a lot of that extra little bit of pressure because he can't get sustained. But this is a really good time now for T1W to show off what their supports are capable of, and this map so far, I think, have been a highlight reel for Huya and Illusion.
Well, we were waiting for Pichette to pull out this Doomfist. Now we have at the 2-2-2 special, Rien, Zarya, Sombra, Doomfist, and an early pick for Pichette, so he's happy to be back on this hero.
Yeah, we're gonna see this come out. We've seen this a little bit earlier today, for sure. If you've been watching Contenders throughout the day, throughout the night, whatever it may be to you, you've seen this composition that T1W is pulling out, and they're gonna look to see what kind of effect they can have with it. Pichette, a very, very solid Doomfist, just as Sparkle was earlier, so we expect good things to come from this.
So LGE on the card, pushing it forward. I mean, Heurix is so much farther ahead of the EMP game, and now that Molanron's out of the fight, a lot more freedom for Heurix. And these sleeps that have been going back and forth. Huya is also something, or someone, LGE have to keep their eye on.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just both of those supports. Now, actually, because they're actually kind of setting the tone, Pichette offers up another point of lethality, another point of damage that they can push through. A little bit less pressure on Huya and Illusion with this composition.
But Pichette, I mean, on the Doomfist, I mean, he struggles so much because of all this hacks, and you're gonna see he's continuously gonna suffer. He's not, as soon as Doomfist kit's taken away, he cannot survive and not escape. As the grab is meanwhile thrown on the card here for Hybe, T1W accumulating enough kills to get point A, and I think at a much faster, the other way around. LGE have not gotten point A. T1W hold point A. They're kind of rotating around the cart.
And you really like to see this composition because, again, it's just relieving pressure from everybody. Silver 3 can play a little bit more effectively because now it's LGE trying to answer T1W because they brought in that Doomfist, someone that's kind of denying a little bit of what LGE is capable of doing from their backline, where typically those players are often safe, very, very safe. Now they're not.
See how safe they are. Silver 3 surely isn't. Instantly bursted down. You gotta protect him from these hacks. Free shatter goes through from J-Mag. They even throw the Graviton, so a bit of an over-investment here from LGE, who even threw in the Transcendence from Molly. So after that hack from Silver 3, he really didn't have to do much after that.
Yeah, now we're gonna see Molanron. He doesn't even have his EMP. He got bashed actually out of it by Kami. Kami's been so good about seeing those relocators coming in from, well, first it was Assassin, now it's actually Molanron on the Sombra, and being able to deal with them quickly and efficiently, making sure that they don't have the pressure of the EMP that typically they're used to just being on the attacking side of, with Heurix easily being able to answer it this time.
So high ground advantage for Team 1W, and Pichette keeping, his ultimate to probably reposition himself, but he, going back to the spawn room will be that short trip. And look how aggressive Langs is playing to displace Silver 3, who receives the nano and is just instantly dead anyway.
Langs with the sound barrier available. I mean, so far LGE has just easily pushed around this corner, and think about the time bank advantage that this is going to give them as well, as they get this second objective unlocked. Surely, I don't know if T1W are going to be able to actually get there in time and have a concerted effort here. They are going to dive in, forcing Pichette in there. He's going to actually use his meteor strike as well.
Oh, someone has to touch the cart. LGE also have an EMP. Oh, everyone just got shattered by Silver 3. You see it at the top. There we are. We're back in the action. T1W, though, although it was a pretty nice shatter, not enough to convert the kills. It did force out the barrier from Langsa, though.
Now, Heurix with the EMP. I mean, all the weapons that LGE are used to having available are there for them, right? Everything other than the sound barrier, maybe the rally as well, but they should be able to push in here. T1W don't have the Zenyatta to pull out a Transcendence and sustain through the pressure here. So honestly, Illusion might be forced to use that sound barrier early, and Heurix could easily be able to counteract that.
So much in the bank for LGE, and that white box of victory is right there, and this is where they stand tall to get that 3-0. And the EMP drops from Heurix. Molly used the Transcendence, but Silver 3 got the nano, and he's just moving forward and killing everything he sees.
Silver 3 definitely on a little bit of a comeback spree here, but remember, 3 minutes is all LGE has here, but maybe that should be enough if they can manage to win one fight, and that's all they need, is just one fight against T1W. They could close this out and go up 3-0. Remember, it is still first to 4, so they need another map, but T1W gonna be battling into this one like they always do.
Oh, and there's the EMP, the Graviton, a lot being thrown here in the Space Jam from up top. Pichette catching to everything they need, down to the 2 minutes and 42 LGE. They're not careful. If they underestimate T1W, they could be holding this defense.
Yeah, the good news here is that T1W did invest 3 of their ultimates to push LGE back in that last fight, so LGE pushing back in turn will have a lot of options available, certainly answers to what is left of T1W, that nano boost as well as the Graviton Surge.
Well, at least Micha, what a nice guy, taking all the hacks for Silver 3. Silver 3 can at least play the game a little bit more. Now Hybe can't, and he's hacked and he can't use Graviton. LG still trying to push forward, but Micha making it impossible as he had received the nano this time and he needs it desperately to survive when there's a Sombra that's making it so difficult for him.
Oh, they tried to split the healing out, but they couldn't put the barrier in the right position. Molly is fragging out now.
Yes, exactly, LGE, an EMP away from securing this one. The box of victory is right there. T1W, they don't want to go down like this. An EMP from Heurix just takes away all the abilities from T1W and a barrier to put the nail on the coffin. LGE now leading the series 3-0 over T1W.
And one map stands in the way of LGE being able to close this out and get the finals victory. Remember, I mean, they kind of struggled a little bit last season. They went out in the quarterfinals. They were able to get there at the very least, but this time around, LGE looking fully loaded behind the weapon of Heurix on the Sombra.
Speaking of exactly that, I want to bring back lafon and ask you, what did you think now they put Melanron on Sombra? How did you think this fared in comparison to Assassin versus Heurix?
I mean, Assassin, the look that T1W has had has gotten better, I think, as the series has gone on, regardless of who they've been playing. The first 2 maps were not close. The third one was, kind of. And then this 4th one, I think, was the closest one yet, despite the, despite the fact that it's still a 3-0. Again, though, T1W, it's over-investment. You can talk about individual players' performance. I think Michi hasn't played the game either, so Silver 3 at least has a turn to sort of play now, to come back and play. But, you can't talk about Melanron because Melanron is not as good as Heurix on the Sombra is. It's that simple. Heurix has been lapping Melanron in the EMP charge, and as expected, because Heurix also has been able to position much more aggressively. He doesn't have to worry about his team nearly as much, whereas Melanron, it becomes the fact that you don't have here we're gonna see the highlight pack come through, but look how Haker's taking aggro away from everyone. No one can really even engage, and then as the EMP comes through, even though the support ultimates are there, it's too late. Silver 3 now caught out, of course, and the fight just keeps on going. I think here, if you're T1W, it's that you have a player who's not playing the game regardless of who it is, so you're playing a 5v6 no matter what, and then on top of that, you're just losing an economy, and then even when you're winning an economy, so to speak, you dump, we just saw in that last highlight there, you dump 3 ultimates for Graviton Surge. Like, it's not equivalent trades coming through. LGE is consistently getting the advantage in terms of economy, and it's everything is going in LGE's.
And I feel like the amount of people that Heurix hacks without EMP, it's crippling T1W. It's forcing the attention away. Like you were telling me during the break, that the support's attention of T1W are being taken away from their front line, and maybe this is why Silver 3 is dying so much.
And one of the reasons why I really liked seeing the Doomfist come out is that some of that pressure was alleviated for at least a little bit there. So I think that's been one of the he took some of the hacks. He was at least forcing some pressure forward. So maybe not all of the focus was on Silver 3, and we saw Silver 3 being able to do at least a little bit of something in that last map on their defense.
Quickly though, one thing that LGE kind of reacted to is that you saw Michia was going after Molly on the Zen. They immediately changed their rotation and their formation so that Molly was no longer susceptible to insta-kill in the insta-kill combo, and instantly Michia became infinitely more useless. So LGE reacting well to the changes in front of them.
Well, 2 undefeated teams, and one will no longer be the grand finals. LGE are 1 map away from cashing themselves to be the champions of Contenders China. We got 1 map away, and we'll see you guys after this short break. Welcome back, everybody. LGE still up 3-0. You didn't really miss much. And we got a substitution assassin who will be coming back and replacing Michia.
Yeah, so they're going to be bringing him back in, and again, just as we saw in Hanamura, while certainly assassin coming into the mix probably means that they want to play a little bit of DPS. We've also seen Nietzsche being played in those scenarios. We've also seen Assassin looking incredible in setups where they do want to play Sombra as opposed to Doomfist. So maybe that is something that they want to offer up. Maybe just fueling Assassin a little bit more on the Zarya, as he is quite solid. We've seen them do pretty well on Hanamura, where they were able to tie that one up as well with Assassin in the mix.
So maybe we're seeing a better look on the Sombra for Assassin if they do choose to do that. I think Hanamura was one of their better looks when he was in the lineup. So whether he goes for Sombra or a DPS, we are heading to Nepal, where we've seen all kinds of crazy stuff, especially on Village, where people can play things like a Pharah and a Hanzo and things to control the area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, DPS comps, bunker comps, even, Winston-based 3-3 comps. There's different things that we could see here. Regular 3-3 comps that could come out. Nepal offers up a lot of opportunity to do a lot of uniquely different dynamic things, as well as that you can change things up halfway through a round, or you can force out a pretty interesting comp to start out. Maybe some kind of maneuverable bunker strat like we see with Bastions and Symmetras in play that we have seen already in China. Granted, it was Junkertown, it was T1W pulling that one out, but things of that nature could be pulled out and then easily swapped off of to a standard 3-3 to try to close a map out. However, given that we're starting here on Shrine, it is going to be the DPS comp coming through already. You can see Sombra in play as well from both sides, actually.
When it comes to LGE, they're undefeated on Nepal, but T1W did lose this in the regular season to LGD, so we'll see. T1W want to stick with this DPS. We saw a little taste of it on Hanamura, where it's really not the question of composition, but execution. And not even bothering with it, maybe seeing the Sombra, and maybe just realizing this is the better call.
Yeah, both teams actually making swaps. T1W is the team on the point already, as LGE is delaying a little bit, so they're going to have capture progress during the course of this fight.
And having Huya, who also did just get hacked, and at least protect himself a little bit better with these sleeves, with these antis, playing closer to his tanks, especially when another Sombra is on the field, and JMac gets antied. I don't even know how he's still alive, but the point progress still accumulating for T1W.
They're going to be backed off and separated. They're scattered out. They can't support each other. LGE can start taking picks.
Oh, they just got off the point, gave it for free for LGE, and JMac swinging away, and the rest of LGE holding on to the point.
Now Haker as well has the EMP available. Assassin just a little bit behind for right now, but that could easily be caught up to, as we're seeing Haker getting into position to drop this. As T1W gets back into the fight, they're going to be taking the high ground approach and then dropping down. Haker knows this, and that's why he's standing here, readying himself to unleash this EMP upon T1W.
And Haker's looking for a juicy EMP. T1W, though, they use their first, and it's counted from either side, but Molly is the only one who got Transcendence out. Wyatt did use the Nano probably onto the Reinhardt to keep him nice and topped up. One of the most important members here of T1W does get a shatter down, mostly blocked. Now it's the grab's turn here from Piggy, and that's enough to trap T1W and send them right back to the spawn room.
And that is the benefit of winning that first fight right there. You have the ability to use those ultimates a little bit sooner, and that's exactly what LGE wanted to do there, but they also wanted to try to generate a little bit more, given the fact that that fight did go on for a little bit longer than I think T1W would have liked. Now one fight could separate LGE and T1W to determine who actually winds up taking this first round here, as T1W still need a little bit of time to generate out that Graviton Surge.
Well, if T1W don't take this fight, LGE will at least lead Nepal 1-0. Now we're getting ready to see some shatters. I hope JMac is ready. Silver 3's bouncing around. If he's not careful, he won't be able to block this one. Goes towards, gets a shatter, might have caught a support, but now Hybe's turn here with the Graviton, feeding all this high charge into LGE, who used the Bear to sustain. This is smart. Now Molly goes second with the Transcendence, as Haker responds with an EMP. T1W, although, well, they had to deal with two support elements and an EMP, T1W are still fighting through this.
Oh, this could be a pretty late Transcendence here. They do wind up giving up the kill, and JMac's still alive again. He's at 1 HP for a second time.
Why did I use the Transcendence? It felt like he was probably near nobody. Everyone was too spread out. No one could actually benefit from that healing, or dead already. 100 to 22. LGE on fire.
A little costly error there for T1W as they drop that round of this map. This is a best of 3 map, so if we see LGE come out ahead here on Village, that'll be that. They will be the victors of this grand final matchup here in Contenders China. Obviously, both of these teams already locked in a spot for the Pacific Showdown, and maybe they see each other again later on. We'll have to see how they do there, but of course, this is it, and this is now. So Village here, DPS comps abound for, or rather, a DPS comp is abound here for T1W, as we're going to be seeing. I don't think so. I think they might actually stick this one out.
We'll see. We'll see. So the Hammond sticks through for Silver 3, the only tank on the team, and the triple DPS, which usually they might run Hybe on the Sombra. Now Assassin's playing the Sombra. The Junkrats may be a newer look from T1W that we haven't seen when it comes to their typical triple DPS. And LGE getting some sightlines here, seeing what they have to deal with. They go right back to spawn, go to Winston with a Sombra Ana, and now T1W playing their cards and then swapping right back.
Yeah, it's that Winston Diva Ana pickup that makes T1W swap off of their DPS, but LGE just taking a little bit of a duel there. Still T1W, I mean, they get the first cap, but we've seen this before. LGE pushed back in with their comp and were able to win out that fight and just control from there. We'll see if LGE can do it a second time.
Well, percentage points will be accumulating for T1W, so LGE don't want to give this one up, but JMac under way too much pressure, took so much damage at the beginning of that. And LGE at least smartly disengaging. There's someone all the way to the left over there, and it'll be okay. And T1W survive for now.
For now, they are still kind of low on ultimate charge here on Hybe. I mean, he does have a lot of his energy stocked up against Piggy, but neck and neck, T1W want to be out a little bit ahead here. Assassin, though, could be the differentiating factor for T1W as he has his EMP ready, and we see how aggressive he is once he has that available.
Back cap. Hello, someone? T1W, go after Haker. I mean, they're so focused on dealing with Assassin's EMP, I don't know what's happened. This is a very strange look. Now you're getting free percentage points here for LGE, and T1W focusing on winning the fight, which is great. They give up 11 points, percentage points. They didn't really need to.
Yeah, it's one of those tough calls that you have to make too, because once you have high ground control and you start winning that fight, I mean, once you get one pick, maybe you can send someone down, but then you're allowing a 5v5, and you're also allowing Haker to take a duel. So not want to going for that, but Haker gonna unleash the EMP. T1W trying to fall back. They're alive for now.
Yeah, T1W everyone did get hacked, but Wyatt did manage to get that nano out onto Silver 3, who was leading the charge, swinging away, completely separating LGE. And now T1W at that 75+%, potentially sending us into a round 3.
They have to hang in there, and they're doing just that. Kami falls. He's got the rally available, but I'm not even sure. They're going to have to try to speed boost him into position. Otherwise, everybody's just going to have to dive in. 5v6 without the Brigitte in tow. T1W with a huge advantage to close this one out here, 100-11.
Can they send us into round 3, stay alive in this series? Hybe uses the grab first as T1W drop on top of LGE. They try to heal through with Molly's Transcendence. T1W only walk away with one kill, and the Shatter gets every single one from LGE. T1W will take this round and send us into a third one here on the pole.
And it's going to be onto Sanctum we go. T1W make sure that they have the best shot of coming back into this one. It would be insane to see T1W get this one and start the reverse sweep. We also had a draw here. This is literally a map 5 that they could be starting this up. They could continue this pace, if they could continue this level of play, but obviously it has to continue here on Sanctum. And this is where Winston's come out. This is where I was actually talking about, where you could see these kind of odd plays where you see teams come out with Bastions, you know, these different looks where they try something out initially, they get some early capture progress, maybe 50, 60, ideally 70, 80% if they can muster it, then swap over to Goats, immediately get that 3-3 going to close the map out, because then they only need one fight. T1W looking like they want to go for that.
Yeah. Well, T1W actually stands for that one weird comp because they are just known for playing the silliest stuff ever. And this is one of these silly things, but that might actually work. You got the Mei that can slow people down when they do go for the dive, and then you have Milanron that will just shred through everything. So if they can get set up on the point, this will be solid.
Well, T1W, they have to be able to contest the point themselves as well. Otherwise, they're just going to be sitting there taking free damage as LGE surround them, and they're going to get capture progress here. It looks like they're going to try to take the point itself, but not able to get it all the way captured yet.
Well, LGE not necessarily exposing themselves. If they can just get the cap in front of T1W, they can just not even play ball. They don't even have to be in Milanron's face. Don't give him any extra ult charge, and they're doing that. That's why it's only 41% to Milanron at the moment, as now T1W have moved someone towards the point to start building some kind of advantage for someone. And as LGE go for the dive, JMac instantly shredded along with the rest of LGE.
With a concerted effort, with a solid dive, well executed, LGE should be able to take out T1W, but they have to build up some ultimates. They have to make sure they get into the right position, especially now as Milanron is getting up into this high ground setup. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to make sure that everybody's going to be able to have that angle that they need to push out the damage. Maybe an EMP is going to be necessary to take them out of this position, but again, the point isn't to 100-0. That would be nice if it could, but the idea here is to get as much score as possible using this tactic and then swap to 3-3.
Well, he did manage to get silver 3, but the shield's already down. You want to take out Milanron if you can, and now he's got tank configuration. Did just get nano from Huya. Doesn't even want to use that whistle of death quite yet. They have control of the point. They don't have to play risky. They don't have to play crazy. They just gotta set up and play smart.
Oh, there's the EMP, but I don't know if anybody can even jump in. Nobody to contest the fight.
But Illusion got a barrier up before that EMP, or out of the line of sight of EMP, which kept Milanron alive. Now LGE trying to go towards the point, but with a Winston who's instantly just deleted with a Bastion, it's so hard for them to get any sort of map presence.
Oh, they actually just killed JMac with the Transcendence up, the damage from Milanron. He also has that Whistle of Death still, the tank configuration, and gets killed.
Oh. The self-destruct just to move him in the right position to actually kill him. But his composition worked enough to get him to them to 84%. Now you expect him to swap off of this. It's very hard to move the Bastion forward on an offensive run. Now LGE, how do they deal with now that they have the momentum in their hands?
Well, they have the EMP, and now it's all about efficiency. T1W are just going to kind of push in, take these neutral engagements as often as possible to force LGE to utilize their resources, allocate ultimates to these fights, and then get an advantage and push in and win just one. This is exactly how the play was drawn up.
Oh, T1W actually fighting back within the first fight, but they walk right into the EMP of Haker. And T1W don't have any support ultimates to really do anything about this, but they are surviving enough, but they eventually have to get the flip. Only one fight could mean T1W not only take Nepal, but they stay alive in the series.
Oh, LGE just lost their mech as well, and they just only have the Primal to keep their dreams alive to try to close this out here and now.
And JMax here to party with the Primal, going on to the point to try and extend this hold that LGE have, even using the Transcendence. Oh my god, the Transcendence just got flung off the map as T1W using their Primal Rage to make some room on the point. Seeing if they can go for the flip, they're starting to get the kills in their favor, even having a rally, a big armor advantage, along with Huya, who has the nano. He didn't get hacked. He's just waiting to use it. They give it to Assassin, and a big self-destruct might have put the nail into coffin for LGE. As they stay alive only for the moment, Assassin not only has a nano, very high energy, he's got the team, they got his back. LGE, though, they haven't given up control yet.
Oh, the grab's still ready for Assassin. They need this to get some kills if they're going to be able to keep this fight alive and turn it back around.
Oh, the barrier is so big from Illusion, but they did lose High B's mech, but it's okay. A big number advantage for T1W. Assassin is off the map. A big source of your DPS is now gone. LGE at 98%. No one from T1W is there, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. LGE, the 4-0 victory over T1W, taking that crown away. They are your Contenders China champions.
For 2019 Season 1, they have secured it. Still so close, especially at the end, really good stuff when T1W was able to push Assassin into the mix. We had some really great play as well on Sanctum, really close to having T1W actually look like they were going to be able to turn this back around, although just not enough in the end once they made that swap at 84%.
Well, bringing back LaFon, what are your final thoughts on how Nepal went? It looked like T1W were just about to take it.
Never let it be said that Brigitte is a player with low skill cap. Or character. Kami absolutely carried in the last part of that map, dude. Stayed alive with the rally, made sure to stun out a couple of really key players before they could really engage their ultimates, really sectioned off a couple of players. I don't think Illusion really is able to get a proper beat off. I think for all the way through, Kami was really strong, and one of the reasons why they closed out that Sanctum play. That entire stage is one that I would take time out of my day to review and like actually go over in terms of how they held the point for so long, because it was clinical play. I think at one point both tanks were sub 100 HP in that last fight and somehow managed to close it out. So and that's honestly off the back of the Brigitte play being so strong. And so for LGE, they are the better team as the scoreline shows, and in that last fight they show why they take this grand final.
Yeah, and on top of everything, we saw that the one weird comp thing, that came out where we saw the Bastion come into the mix. When I mentioned that before, it was one of those things where it's like, maybe if they're desperate, but that has been something that we saw from them. We saw the quad tank come out as well, but here it is, LGE and their road here. Obviously, T1W, they're still in the Pacific Showdown that will be coming later this month, so they still have a good shot at really making a name for themselves later on with a lot of eyes on them as well, but LGE coming out ahead this time around.
It's really, I can't state just how unprepared T1W was for the Sombra. Every strategy that they had was just countered by Heurix, right? Like, it's not the characters that they played, the rotations that they made, the cooldown management that they had, everything. Heurix was living in their head rent-free, and it worked all the way through. I think honestly, the tail of the tape has to be the Hanamura, where they played that quad tank. At that moment, I said, T1W is not taking a map. I genuinely believed it. And yes, they didn't give up Hanamura, but they'd lost the series already in my mind. And, coming in the latter stages, it was just a matter of time. And, this last fight, mentally they may have still felt that they were in control, but I think that last fight on Sanctum was just emblematic of the entirety of the series. LGE, even when they were losing, they were winning, and close out a 4-0.
Such an impressive performance from LGE. We got a taste of Heurix and how amazing his Sombra is, proving not only is he the best in China at Sombra, possibly contending for the best in the world. And I'm so happy for LGE. Walked with, a ton of cash, $50,000 for first place, $13,200 for second. So congratulations again, taking that crown, yoink, from T1W, who had got the past season champion. But that will conclude our broadcast today, and this couldn't have happened without Broadcast GG. If you're new to what is Broadcast GG, it's a broadcast company that not only brought you China, brought you South America, brings you Open Division, brings so much of Tier 2 and Tier 3, uplifting upcoming casters. There's so many to name, and I don't even want to go through the list because I might accidentally forget somebody, but really shout out to Mushu Beef, really putting Broadcast GG together, and we will be covering future seasons of Contenders, so wait for that announcement. But hold on to your horses, there's more Overwatch to come. Overwatch League will be beginning in 5 hours for the grand finals at 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST. So go get your nap and get back in your chair because there's more Overwatch coming. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon.